Why can't we just ask that though? I think that is so sexy when you check in with your partner. Does this feel good? Right? Because you can only assume so much, and I genuinely think that everybody is different. What worked for your ex may not work for your current partner. It just doesn't. Their anatomy is different. Their desires are different. And I don't think people ask enough for that feedback.
We're here for the main event.
The main event of the week.
Main event. Guys, I am excited. Can I just say, by the way, like, you guys are awesome, but having a guest is really good.
It brings a whole new energy.
Like, it's a lot better.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like the listeners are feeling the same way.
In person.
Yeah.
Woo.
I was telling Eric, like, before this, I think it's literally been 2.5 months since we've not only all been in person, but all drinking.
Oh, man. Even that alone feels
and then you
fucking
add
good.
Miss Stephanie Daly on top, and it's like, okay.
No, we're off the charts right now.
We're on a level. So can we get a re-cheers, please?
Salud.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
So we are here to talk about your may I say your expertise. You have the data. I think there's
Right,
expertise.
the
behind
data.
that. Yes,
Right.
the data. So the flow of this conversation will be attraction, which we, at least in our humble opinion, is the first step. And you might disagree with that, but attraction, who are you as a whole person? How do you in the first place attract another human being? Then going into the realm of dating, sex, the engagement, how to keep one's attention, and then relationship. What does long-term relationship look like? What is a healthy relationship? And maybe even marriage and prenuptial
Yeah, that
agreements.
natural progression in like the normal dating linear hierarchy.
Yes, indeed.
So
So
go through the whole cycle.
I have a quote for you that I would like to kick off with.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a member of our community. She's a goat, which is the greatest of all time community member. So this is Paradox, and she's a wonderful human being. This is what she said. I'm a smart, attractive woman in my 30s with a bright future, not to mention triple D tits and a fat tattooed ass.
Nice.
Yes.
Yummy.
Wah, wah, wee, wah.
Wow, we were.
I didn't see this. But
Yeah, well, here it comes, Stephen. And I think it's ridiculous that I can't find anyone on my level to date seriously. All the men out there seem to be total fuckboys with no drive or ambition. And those who do have ambition only seem to want housewives. A boss bitch like me can't win in this situation. So I think really to begin the conversation, it's a question of what's going on in the world of men?
There's actually a lot within that statement. Honestly, I would want to ask Paradox personally. I would want to get to know her because I can't just generalize with that statement because I just don't know her. The boss bitch comment at the very end, I would want to get a sense of her energy because some guys might be intimidated by her.
She did say in a follow-up that oftentimes men are intimidated.
Yeah.
She is just speaking from things that I've seen in our Discord, an ambitious woman in crypto,
Right.
building, entrepreneurial, wants a great life, wants the
So-
helicopter pad,
Paradox,
in
me
her-
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So-
Steven knows. He's seen my Pinterest board.
But there are a lot of like ambitious women in the world today.
So-
I think that's not that uncommon.
Yeah. But I think where some girls can kind of take it too far is they lead with that. Whereas I found women have way more boxes that they need to check than men do.
wait. You mean women need to check the boxes in men, or they themselves have these boxes that need to be checked by men?
They themselves have to check the boxes off from men who come into their lives.
Gotcha.
Men have to be X, Y, A, B, C, all that.
So what's your interpretation of
So-
what dudes' boxes are? Just be hot, have triple D tits, and have a tattooed ass.
Men value different things in women. And these are findings. Are you guys familiar with David Buss?
No.
I know.
You guys have to read his work.
Okay.
David Buss?
David Buss, yes. He wrote The Evolution of Psychology and a few other books. Anyway, he found that men across 37 different countries value physical looks, and youth. So obviously that's not a
pretty-
great finding.
Pretty big sample size, I'd say.
Yeah.
37 different
Like, it's-
cultures.
And sometimes like the findings that you're upset about are good because it's like you don't always, never mind. Anyway, that's what men typically value, kind of a hard truth.
Yeah.
For women, we need much more. We need stability, security, attraction, passion, reliability. We need so many other things. And a few years ago when I was in commercial real estate, I led with, I'm a boss ass bitch in commercial real estate. I led with that. And I do think that it intimidated a lot of men. But I also noticed that not many men cared. They didn't. And I don't think many men care. Like Paradox said, you know, she sees these ambitious men with girls who aren't doing anything, or housewives. And that kind of reiterates the point of David Buss that men value far different things. And so for Paradox, obviously I don't know you. I'd love to get to know you. My DMs are open.
Yeah.
My DMs are open if you'd want to
She was
chat
worried
with me.
that when we share this quote, a bunch of dudes are going to be in her DMs. So
Maybe
tell me about
try
that tattoo.
Right, trying to prove her wrong and all that. But maybe you should try leading less with all your accomplishments. I know that you could be very, you know, fond of that, and those are things that you are very
identify with, right?
right. Exactly.
So
that
this
could
might
be your
be
identity.
out of order, but like, how much should a person sacrifice though? Like, isn't
Right.
that a form of
like
sacrifice?
you really want to scale that back?
Yeah.
I
'Cause
just
how
I
much?
just think that the initial steps in dating, like the very early stages, are very important.
Yes.
Because you can easily repel someone. And of course you can filter through the wrong people faster, but there are just things that you should and shouldn't mention. Even in terms of like emotional baggage, everybody knows, you know, don't talk about your ex so early on and all that. But if you could just scale back, you don't have to totally change yourself or your identity. But I obviously don't know how you lead on a date or with a person. But if there's other things that you're interested in, like activities, other passions, your creativity, I know crypto is probably a huge thing for you, but it really depends on your delivery and
So you're talking more of that like early date etiquette.
Yeah.
It's like a way to present yourself.
right. Because guys do get intimidated by women who they think are doing better than them. They get scared, right? So if you could shift that into something else and not start from that point, being like, this is who I am, who are you?
So
Right?
like make it a competition immediately.
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
once again, I don't know how she's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
that, but
No, yeah, just speaking generally though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like our community is a bit different because I don't feel like we have like a group of folks who are like, particularly dudes who are like intimidated by that. I don't think that that's like who we talk to guys wise, but like I can imagine that would be true on a more broad sense.
On that topic, like, do you believe in this idea of polarity between, you know, masculine and feminine, men and women? You know, because, you know, Paradox is talking about being very forward about her accomplishments and her success and her identity as like an entrepreneur. And maybe sometimes that doesn't create as much polarity between the masculine and feminine. Are you a believer in this idea of like there needs to be this polarity and difference in masculine and feminine energies to make a relationship successful? Or since we're talking about attraction, to create that initial attraction?
I do.
Okay.
This is good to establish early on in this conversation.
I do.
And I think I got a lot on this one, man. Like we talk about this often, so we're very curious
Do you
about your
believe in
opinion.
it as well?
I do. And I think that we're sort of lost right now as a society on this
Right.
topic. What do you
And
tell
I
us what you
think-
think?
I always hear a lot of talks about the modern woman, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Because what about the modern man? Nobody's really talking about that, right? And the modern man to me would be someone who is allowing, we're going to get into it. The one who's allowing 50-50, who wants to go 50-50 always and early on. And that's not how it's been. It was never like that. But now it is. And you can argue that it's the cost of living. Okay, sure. But you're sacrificing other things.
So define the polarity for me, because like you could define it along several different axes. Like one could be the masculine energy, right? As like an alpha, like I'm going to be here. I'm protective. I'm going to serve you. I'm going to protect you. There's also the provide. There's also the financial aspect. There's also just this aspect of like, I'm going to lead. I'm going to lead this relationship forward. So like,
That's the
how do
biggest
you
thing.
define polarity? Because there's different ways you could define it.
Okay. So feminine receives. Masculine naturally provides and gives naturally. You, in my experience, you don't even have to do anything to make a naturally masculine man want to give you almost everything. You really don't have to ask that. I would say that a good example is Paradox is leading with her masculine. And she's saying, this is what I have. This is what I've done. This is what I'm doing. Can you meet me here? And that's amazing. And I'm not going to discredit that. But if you are trying to attract a certain type of partner, I don't believe that you should be leading with that strong of a path.
Initially.
So how
Initially.
do you do that though?
Like, if
How do
anything, it should
you-
be a surprise. Like, holy shit, this girl's badass.
She-
I had no idea. Like
you
tell me
learn
more.
over time that like, oh my
Exactly.
God, there's so much more to
Exactly.
uncover.
So what is that? Is that like allowing space for the opposite partner to show up to their best ability, and then your sort of like desires are
It's mystery in a way.
Mystery.
I feel like in
Yeah.
the beginning, and mystery builds desire because you're like, there's so much more to this person. And she's badass with a tattoo on her ass.
Yeah, right. And so,
Yeah.
so for the man who meets a type like we're describing, what's the answer? Because like she's saying that men are getting intimidated.
I mean,
so does the answer become more like alpha is the only word that comes to mind, but like more masculine, and to like create that even more polarity? Like, how do men approach a woman like that? You know, like
Right, or is it you take the back seat and let her masculine drive?
Oh,
the-
that sounds disgusting.
Well-
but like, but like, here's what you think. How does a man approach that situation?
yeah, exactly. How?
I think it has to be to outperform.
Yeah.
Is ultimately what the woman is asking. And again, just to remove one individual and speak more generally, like a woman who is demanding of standards is really what this is. I have certain standards. These standards need to be met. What is the woman saying? Is like, I need you to perform in life in these areas better than I do.
Okay,
or
that's,
as good as
that's
I do.
The issue.
That's different,
That's
though,
hang on,
right?
Is it?
pause, full stop. That's the issue when we're talking about polarity and like a feminine essence and a masculine essence. The feminine essence never says, I need you to do this. The receiving aspect is, I would love if I had this. I would love for you to do this. And I know that sounds a little corny, but that's exactly what it is. And the masculine naturally feels the need to provide that. And they feel a sense of accomplishment. Like that is now their
Okay,
goal.
so do you feel that society and generally women are evolving in a direction where they're not creating the space for that?
Yeah.
So can we
100%.
talk about that? Because that's a
I-
huge problem.
I think that, I mean, obviously we've transitioned from being fully capable of relying on ourselves financially. I am willing to bet anything that the majority of women would like to be a housewife, but still have their own passions and their own little side income. I have data on that.
Yeah.
But we have to have our own careers, and we have been taught not to rely on anyone, whereas in our past traditions, we have relied on our masculine figure,
Right.
right? So that has been a really big shift. And with these modern women, these boss women, I think that's where it really gets confused.
And
Yeah.
so you mentioned the idea of the modern man and us
Yeah.
questioning the idea of a modern man. So is it also a failure of the modern man?
Yeah,
to-
'cause
to-
they're
to-
allowing
to, like,
it.
okay, so
They-
speak more on that.
I feel, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but what I have,
Whoa,
you know,
that was a hot take. They're allowing it?
Yeah.
It is
They're-
so
Do you, I mean,
egregious for a man to step
great word.
into that position.
yeah.
At all, to take, because what they would be doing would be to get in the way of what is the most noble form of feminism today. Here you go, Stephen. It would almost be like a way of saying, like, I don't respect women. Women are saying from a societal level that this is what they want. They want to be equal in every single way. And yet it's
there's just so many levels to it. Yes, there are those hyper feministic views, perspectives, and values. There are other levels where women just want to be respected across.
That's probably the more normal level.
Right.
Yeah.
But the women also want to be taken care of.
People are just confused though now because they don't know what to do. They don't know what's right. They don't know what's wrong. They don't
Right,
know
and I do-
what's over the line. They
Right.
don't
And
know-
honestly, with the Me Too movement, I think a lot of guys are a little hesitant on even going up to a girl.
Yeah.
I've heard that from a few of my male followings. They said that they just don't know if it's appropriate because of like the whole Me Too movement.
But can you speak more?
I wish
to-
we had just had some data on this.
Well, I have some data up on how do couples meet. But before we go into that, like, can you speak more on how the modern man is allowing this? Because like that was intriguing to me.
Okay,
yeah,
so
very.
does it sound good for you guys to save a little bit of money to not spend $200 on dinner?
Does it sound good?
Yeah, like to not be spending $200 instead $100.
If I could spend less, does it sound better? Yeah.
Okay, would you be okay with that? Like, would you accept that?
Well, I think there's another side to this question that I need the data for. Like,
What's that?
Well, what am I losing by spending less?
You could be losing a date. You
right.
could be losing another date.
So then no.
Right, but a lot of guys, well, not a lot of guys, that's not true. I did have one date that I offered, and I will always offer.
You offer to pay is what you're saying.
Yeah, on the first date. I always offer. I will always offer on every single date.
But it's a test, guys.
Yeah, so
It's a
first
test.
Of all, that's
Confirmed.
That's mechanical. Like that offer is mechanical. We appreciate that you offer that.
But do you agree that there are some women that really are offended if they don't get to pay 50%? And it's a small percentage, but like they actually are like, no, this is my identity.
Right.
I'm equal. I want to pay 50%.
I think a really good solution to that would be the guy being like, if you do have a situation with that type of women, as the man, I would say, hey, I really want to pay for this
Just
dinner.
offer a few
Will you allow
times.
me to pay for this dinner?
Yeah,
Just like that. I would say that.
for sure.
Because some girls do get offended, or if they're not feeling the vibe and they don't want to feel like they owe you anything.
So this is a Persian thing. We offer 3 times.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think that all people should.
I mean, has
really
this
do.
been a
So how does
common
that-
occurrence
how
for
does
you?
that
Like
go?
most times on a first date, like dudes are gonna like, okay, so the girl offers to pay. You say thank you so much, but then you pay, and it's not a big fight. Like it just like
No, but I
thank
haven't
you so
dated
much
in
for
a long
offering.
time, and it is today.
I don't think so. Like
No, it is today,
You just
isn't it?
offer thank you for
The
offering.
offering?
She offers the first time every time. She just said that.
Yeah, but she offers, but then like you don't fucking.
But a lot of
accept
guys
the offer.
No. But a lot of guys respond by going, "Okay,"
Some guys, yeah.
Some guys.
And then I'm like,
I don't think that's common, dude.
and I think the
And I
reaction
feel-
should be, "I would like to."
right, exactly. And I feel bad for saying that because, people would probably argue, well, you shouldn't offer if you really don't want to. I get that, but then we look like rude bitches if we don't offer.
Right. I mean,
Right.
you're,
I mean,
you're
there's two sides to that.
Right.
coin,
taking
for
her on
sure.
a
So,
date. I think
it's a
on
double-edged
first
sword.
date, it's pretty clear. Like the dude's paying. Like
Oh, you'd be surprised nowadays. You'd be surprised.
I probably would, but like
There are some guys who are like, no, we're splitting the first date because it's cost effective and we're not going to waste anybody's time. If it doesn't work, then we'll go our separate ways and it's your own.
Okay, so let's go to like actually attracting women in the first place, and we can also talk about like the women's side of this. But how can you have a lot of data on this? The first step is just generally being desirable, right? Generally getting the date, generally being a whole man, being comfortable with yourself, in tune with yourself, being able to show up and be attractive to a certain degree. What have you learned about what women want? Great movie, by the way.
Surprisingly entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, Mel Gibson.
wait, that's a
Remember
Mel
that?
Gibson.
Yeah, it was a very good movie. Yeah.
Women are attracted to genuine confidence.
Not the
humor.
Ronaldo type.
What's the Ronaldo type?
That's cockiness. There's a
oh,
difference.
okay.
So I just
didn't-
wanted to illuminate the difference
So we
between
have established
cockiness
him as cocky?
and Ronaldo's very cocky.
I think that's
So
it's a
Well,
unilateral,
He can get away with
two
this.
different things. Two
unilateral
different things,
definition, to be honest.
Stephanie. Yeah.
Yes, so they value confidence, humor, and kindness. and ambition, which is drive.
What about the hygiene?
That seems
I
to
saw
make
that on your
sense. Like
poll.
that makes sense.
So
those four specifically.
Well,
Yes.
it seems to
Make
be the
sense.
same things that like work on social media. Be good looking, be funny, be smart, be like, like.
Did I say good looking?
I added that in. I
That's
added
true.
that in.
No, that
It
was
helps,
I added
but
that in,
it's not
But
everything.
does it not help?
It does help.
Clearly.
It can get you
It
into
allows
doors,
you to
it
be a
can
little
get you-
more
it can-
cocky, apparently. If you are
It
the
obviously
best looking
helps. Like,
person
if you don't
in the world.
if you don't acknowledge it, I think that's a misstep on your part because it obviously helps.
Let's say someone does not consider themselves attractive. You're saying that on those four paradigms, like if they are fit those four, like you can bat above your average.
100%. Be funny. If you do not find yourself conventionally attractive, I don't know, go to a comedy skit, start taking, improv or something like that. Humor will get you very far with women.
Particularly with guys to women, but I don't think it works the other way. I don't think women can be like just hilarious and be just heinous and then like it works. Like I don't think it works the other way.
Can you speak more about the genuine confidence part? Because that's the part that like I think guys maybe misinterpret as like potentially cocky, right? But like, can you speak more
where's the
about
line?
what that feels
Yeah,
like? What
there is a line.
what does genuine confidence look like?
Yeah, you had a specific video I watched about this.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
repeat it.
Yeah.
So to me, genuine confidence versus cockiness. Confidence, you have something that you're really good at and you're not going out of your way to showcase that you're super good at this thing. Whereas cockiness, you are out there in everybody's face, telling everybody or showing everybody because you want them to know. Confidence doesn't say, it doesn't speak, it just
exists.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not calculated. It's just authentic and existent.
So if I could play devil's advocate to a guy listening right now, he's probably like, Jesus, I don't know what that means. Like you're just like,
Okay.
you have to be confident, but it's just like, be confident. It's
Okay.
just like, do you think you could actually, if you thought about it, break down what it does mean to be confident? Is that something that can be learned?
Yeah. I think the first thing that came to mind was rejection. Going up to a woman, feeling that anxiety and the potential threat of rejection. But I would replace that with practice, putting yourself in a position to expect rejection and kind of shaking off those nerves and being like, I'm not going to be for everybody, but the fact is that I'm going out here, I'm talking to these people, I'm building, I guess, a little more character in a way. But to me, confidence is just an unshakable thing, whether...
To speak for the guy, to approach a woman and to have her roll her eyes at you is literally like your soul getting crushed. So
on behalf of
even
women,
if like
I'm
I'm
so
a
sorry.
man of reps, like I figured it out that you just have to keep showing up. And that's what it's all about. And you eventually find through your own work first you do your own work, right? You become confident in yourself, your own abilities, who you are, what you represent. Do you have integrity? Do you have respect? What do you have? You become confident in that. But no matter how confident you are, you show up, you're going to get the eye roll. You're going to get the rejection. And that is soul crushing for so many people. And most people don't want to experience that even just one time. So standing up for the guy who's not willing to experience that, like, what do? Just keep showing up? Like, because what most guys do these days is say, I don't want to experience that. I'll just rely
So
on the
then you're
apps.
just not going to experience anything at all?
No.
So hold on.
Because
I,
you're on
I got
the
I got two
apps.
different things because I have a personal story. I have a younger cousin, and this guy, God bless him, he doesn't listen to our podcast, so I can talk about him. He
Watch this be the one.
please, God, don't listen to this. He does not have confidence, right? He's like not a confident guy. And my aunt asked me one time when he was like growing up, he's like, how can I instill confidence in him? And that question to me was so profound. I did not know the answer. I was like, I do not know. Like, I do not know. And the question is deeper than approaching women, right? Like approaching women is one silo of confidence. And like in that silo, do you have confidence in approaching women? This guy does not have confidence broadly. Okay. So I think where I landed on it after like years of thinking about it, it's like you have to try things and understand like that you're going to be good and bad at certain things, but on the things that you shine in, continue pursuing them and like find something that you're good at and continue pursuing that. And then that builds an intrinsic confidence in some capacity of life where you're like, I am good at this. Like I'm good at something. And you build on that over time. And man, my poor cousin, like never, like he just like did not like have that encouragement because I lived in a different city and everything. But like, as I've thought about it over time, like this is the way, like you need to like find yourself in something that you're good at where you could like latch onto and you're like, oh my God, this is my identity. I'm good at this.
Right.
And then you have that and you're like, oh my God, now that I'm good at this, then you have this thing in your quiver. You're like I have this confidence, and then you can go approach women. And that's a completely different ballgame.
That's a good point. So on that note there, I want to ask you, because I think a lot of men think that picking up a woman is like they're gonna go up to them and do this sort of like formulaic stuff. But I have this suspicion that a lot of women know that they're going to like reject the guy before he even like opens his mouth. Like they're just like you said, he's just inherently not a confident person. And like before he even says anything, you're probably like, I don't know. And then unless he says something like hilarious or really like there's like a pattern shift on you, you probably already know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, unless he does something funny, that's why I would say that humor is of value, or a pattern interrupt. That's a really good one. Real quick, before I lose my train of thought about what you were saying about finding something that you're good at, with my writing, when I was doing commercial real estate, I was basically told that I was a shitty writer without being told I was a shitty writer. And I could have easily been disempowered and accepted that and never started my blog. But I wrote for myself because I enjoyed it. And then I slowly started sharing it, and I built evidence that clearly contradicted that one opinion. So I guess just to tack onto that, don't really hold others' opinions of value if they're not doing what you're doing day in and day out.
So I have on the confidence building angle, I have a data point from your Instagram that might give a lot of guys confidence, maybe some guys, maybe 76% of guys. But there was a question you asked, like, what type of body do women prefer of men? And then the selections were dad bod,
Armand bod,
six pack abs, or something in between. And surprisingly, to me,
in between,
76% of women said something in between.
What would you have expected?
I don't know. I think I would have expected more on the six pack abs because that is what's kind of glorified. And I think what most
girls
men
look
would
at that as like too much, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
Just
maybe talk more about
too
that.
self-obsessed.
It can exactly. It can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Do they have to hold themselves to that standard?
What is their lifestyle if they're like
exactly.
doing that?
Are they taking meal prep out to our dinner date? Right?
They are.
Yeah. Some people are.
Yeah, you're fucking jacked and roided.
We do not highly value men who have washboard abs. Obviously,
those are for other guys.
Right.
They are.
Yeah.
Like bodybuilding past a certain point is for other men.
Yeah, I could see that.
No girl needs that. Like,
exactly.
They don't want that. The data shows it.
Exactly. And like I said before, please check out David Buss's work because so much of his findings support my findings. And it's just so validating because he did a study on the body type of a man as well. And same thing.
But by the way, what was his book that you recommended?
Evolution of Psychology.
Evolution of Psychology. Gotcha.
Yes.
You haven't mentioned hygiene. Hygiene is very big for me. I feel like it goes big on men and women. I think both genders, all genders appreciate hygiene.
I don't know if it's like a lack of self-awareness.
I do remember. Do I need to mention
no,
this?
Just like, is it? Do we need to?
He created a viral video.
Hold up.
So
I need to hear.
Absolutely.
This is like crazy to me that like this is a common thing that happens.
Yeah.
This is like a pain point.
Guys are gross.
It's also a pain point for guys.
Yes.
Like
for me.
So many guys have, I think one video was, it was least desirable traits in a man.
Yes.
I have one coming out, least desirable traits in women, obviously to balance it out. Bad hygiene is also on there.
Ugh.
For men specifically, a lot of what comes up is bad hygiene on a woman down there. And I don't know generally if it's just a lack of self-awareness, a lack of education. I know a lot of people don't floss. Do you guys floss every day?
Oh yeah.
I floss daily.
These are teeth boys right here.
Negatron. I do
Teeth?
not.
No flossing.
You need to
Not
floss
daily, not
every
daily.
single
No?
day.
Just hit
That's
it with
when
the
you know you
flosser.
need to floss.
smile. You
No,
gotta
no,
this guy.
Hit it with the
We
flosser.
did a pod the other day. He's like, I don't work out. I have 6-pack abs all the time. Just have 6-pack abs.
Okay, that's good genes.
Mom,
A,
yeah,
if you do.
Gingivitis. I don't floss ever. It doesn't matter.
No.
I floss when I got shit in there.
No.
No,
Gotta
no.
floss.
him,
You
Look
have
at
to
him.
floss. Even that's when you.
Dental health is health.
It's massive, and actually,
I agree with you. I'm not like saying I don't floss. I'm just saying I don't do it every day.
I'm a big teeth girl.
You got great teeth.
Thank you. I take care of them. I wear retainers almost every night. And I
That's a
floss
huge attractant to
every
men.
day. Well, teeth in general, like dental hygiene, is people signify that as health.
Yes.
And people are attracted to health. Men are attracted to health.
Big time. I would say it's my number one.
Yeah.
You guys like traveled
Literally.
the world. Americans got great smiles.
Yes.
But
I know a
what
British guy.
you found is that this is important, and that men are typically very negligent of important things that women care about. And so what we recommended, what I very specifically recommended in one episode, which is super ironic, is to fucking be clean, smell good, and throw on some cologne. And I
Yeah.
even said the word fragrance, which Nick freaked out about, and it became a whole thing. But like literally, wear some fragrance.
you
wear
meant
some
fragrance. That's the
Well,
beauty.
Yeah,
of it.
I
I did. I
think
did. Like,
there's-
I believe it's important, and you have a viral video to back this point up.
Yeah.
So come on, back me up.
Well, I will. There's a lot of fragrances that replicate pheromones. That musk in a man that a woman is attracted to. So
musk out
if
there.
you don't generally have, that musk,
You might not have that musk.
you may not
Might have
attract
the
women,
wrong
but
musk.
there are studies that women are attracted to certain men based on their body odor.
Really?
Yes.
Oh
pheromones.
man, I've actually
I
seen
thought
it.
pheromones were like a myth. That's not a myth.
No, I've
Oh,
seen it
it's
on
a
Reddit.
thing. Oh,
I've
yeah,
seen it
it's a
on Nat
thing.
Geo where both men and women were selecting partners
Yes.
based on the smell of white T-shirts that
That's
the
the one.
opposite gender wore.
That's the one.
Huh.
So if
I
you-
love a good smell.
Me
Like,
too.
It's amazing.
It's a turn on.
It's
It's-
a huge turn
I
on.
kind of classically conditioned myself to.
Like, how many of you remember like an ex's, like it sucks, but you remember their scent?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
remember
Yeah.
their-
The scent is
Yeah.
embedded
it
deep in the
sucks,
memory.
But
Right.
I
like,
really do not remember
So-
any.
wow,
So,
Steven, you're in
just
the
to be
minority
clear-
on this one.
I'm a non-flosser. I don't care about fucking pheromones and shit like that. So just to be clear, but like if I'm being honest, like you want to set yourself up for success. Like don't fucking fail on pheromone. Don't fail on smell. Like put the cologne on, you idiots. Like please do that.
But come on, in
Also,
America,
but
who
where?
does?
Where
Who
do you
does?
put the cologne on?
Right here. I don't know.
Okay.
What do you mean,
So
literally?
Yep.
pulse
Cologne
points.
Alpha incoming.
Oh, hold on.
Pulse
This,
points.
this is actually really good because I got a
Okay.
good story.
So size of the neck,
Uh-huh.
like in the elbow. What's this part?
Yeah.
That's an elbow.
And then also
No, there's
Inside of the elbow.
inside. Okay, inside of the elbow, sides of the
Go
neck.
to YouTube.
A good one would be the back of the neck. If
Oh.
anybody hugs you, they can have it
Wah, wah,
on
wee,
them,
wah.
on their wrist type thing.
Stephanie, I got something for you.
Yeah.
My dear wife, Mina, she's Persian, so
Hey,
she
Mina.
You're newly married.
yeah, she doesn't listen to this either, so I can talk about it.
I want her to listen to this.
Okay, so she sprays,
Dude.
and she's got the itchy trigger finger.
Oh, okay.
So I literally watched her one time. She's like doing a halo all over, and halo back,
Well,
and then to finish off, below the belt, one or two
yeah.
below the belt.
always,
And I'm like,
always,
Always.
always,
Always.
always.
what is that one doing?
For the female.
I called her out on the spot. I was like, what was
no
that?
move, huh?
I don't know
Well,
what
it's
aqua
a
di Gio on my balls would
undisclosed
be like.
move.
So Stephanie, give us the protocol here.
Yeah.
1 spray, 2 sprays. What is it?
It depends on the cologne. I'm assuming your wife Mina may be spraying a mist if she is doing that much, like a body mist.
Yeah, it's a body mist.
I hope so because that would be really, really strong.
Oh, it's a body mist.
For men, obviously depends on the cologne, but I would say generally just like sides of the neck, chest, or inside the elbow. But
How do you apply it? Do you do a little like on the wrist and then rub it, or what do you do?
further away, maybe
No,
like
walk
So you
into
do-
it.
You can also walk
I
into
wear
it.
a lot of cologne, as
So
you can tell.
Nick's a walker.
Yeah.
He goes like
Spray,
this.
walk through it.
But if you walk into it, you
nicer
can't-
colognes you actually have to do that with
You do.
because they're stronger.
Nothing below the
Guys,
belt. just to be
fragrance
clear.
department
Honestly,
specialist here.
We do it.
Any questions? Let me know.
Rule of
Girls
thumb,
do
if you're
it.
Persian,
I've
take
seen
it
it
down
firsthand.
50%.
Yeah, probably. Okay, next question on hygiene.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about lasered balls?
Yeah. Well, Armand's
I
asking.
don't want to know how you feel about laser balls. I want to know if you have any data.
Okay, so I do, but not specifically about laser.
We have a thing in our community about, taints and tanning and
Do
clean-
Persians laser their balls?
No, it's just
One does.
it's an alfalfa
one,
thing.
one of them do.
I do.
I think there's like a better
I
way
think
to
that's
frame this.
amazing.
Like
It's
there's-
great. It's the
there's-
best thing I've
Yeah.
ever
Do you
done.
laser we call it Brazilian. Do you laser your butthole?
Brazilian, the whole thing.
But I think there's
from
like
the back.
there's
Hold
like
on,
a better
we're
way.
in something
Hold on,
right
this
now.
man is
Eric is
describing his
sledgehammering
ball
right now.
lasering.
Eric is sledgehammering right now. So we go from the back all the way down through the front,
Same.
and it's wonderful, clean, pristine.
I think
Happiest
it will become
I've
more
ever been.
normalized.
It will. When I go, I ask them.
More
I say,
normalized.
It
no,
will.
No, watch
There-
this.
there are reasons for this.
Nobody wants to admit it, but I'm admitting it on this podcast. I always ask them, I'm like, are there other guys that do this? They're like, you have no idea. There's so many. And then I say, like, straight guys, like
Right.
this is a whole thing with straight guys. No, because I could understand.
follow-up.
Yeah, why not?
Straight
Because I could
guy.
understand why a
He's
gay
gonna
man.
subdivide
would-
the data. It makes
No, I
sense,
could
yeah.
understand why a gay man would want.
Right.
And
No,
then they go, oh yeah, big time. We have women that push their men to come do this because of hygiene.
Yeah.
Because they want it to be clean down there.
If you think about it, I hate really thinking about it.
No, but when you do,
Right.
But when you do,
But when you do, guys don't really, thank you for maintaining yourself. Generally, guys don't maintain that area. And it's kind of like, if you really visualize it, it's kind of just like if you put peanut butter on your hair and you're wiping it off. It's not clean. It's not clean.
I'll
So
be honest.
Steven once described this as a
Like, that's
monkey
disgusting.
taking his shit and throwing it against the
Yeah.
wall and wiping it. Remember that,
You're
Steven?
literally walking
Yes,
around
yes.
with like particles in
Yes.
your hair. It's
Oh.
not hygienic.
Oh,
I don't
Wait,
like
So-
I have more specific questions.
Wait, can I do one more question just to really support
please
that?
do. Please do.
So one of the questions that was very out there, I can't remember if it was a guy or a girl wanted to know, but or no, it was a girl. She wanted to know how many guys are into butt play from women, and it was over 50%.
Whoa,
that-
are you talking about from women to men?
Yes.
Pegging specifically.
No. Butt play.
some diddling.
what
Right.
does pegging mean?
Pegging.
Sound like play.
Pegging.
Okay, so that's not play, dude.
There's
Play,
a blog post about it. Is there not?
play looks like
Armand, go
this.
Google
You went
it.
deep.
Yeah, I did.
Pun intended.
Yeah, literally deep. Play looks like this, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, playing can be anywhere from like fingers, licking, teasing, all that. Pegging is penetrative,
Right.
with a strap on or.
We know where
things
Nick
like
lands.
that.
We clearly know where Nick lands.
Anyway, so if over half men or over half the men are open to doing that or receiving that from women,
It's an erogenous zone, bro.
I personally,
is.
even with like a colonoscopy, is that when you like flush it out, all that?
Yeah.
no, that's when
No,
a
that's when-
camera goes
What
up
is it?
inside.
Enema.
Yeah.
Even with an enema,
An
I
enema.
don't know if I'd be down. Like, I really like the idea of someone being lasered.
Yeah.
Even then, I don't know, but I think far more women would appreciate men.
They would.
really
And likewise,
cleaning up.
it goes the other way around too.
Yeah, 100%.
Wait. But before we move on for this topic, I do have a question I need to answer. Do women want men to be fully like 4-year-old boy
No,
lasers? Like Armand?
no.
That's the direction I was
Wait,
going
let
with
me
this.
pull
Okay.
this data up because I have
No.
the exact data.
That's the direction.
I keep the
You have a
patch on the
triangle-
top.
You have a triangle.
I keep like a
Actually, can I
patch
just
on the
hold
top.
yours?
What shape is that you're making with your hands?
You have the
It's like a
website.
square.
Sure.
Well,
You
what
have
do
a
you guys
square?
think?
It's like a-
You guys
it's like a
tell me your
square,
guess, and then
short
I'll
square.
tell you the data.
So I personally
I believe
I have a personal opinion of what I prefer, which is like a trimmed up situation.
Yeah, I believe that the majority of women want that. I've looked at this data,
But you've
before
taken
from
it
a
a-
different data source, though.
But you've
So
taken it a
let's see
step
what
further
you're-
there, Capitan.
No. I'm talking about everything below the
So you're talking about
below.
not full razor.
Below.
Yeah,
But
I would
you're
think it
talking
would be
about
like,
like a-
I'm
keep
talking
it
about
clean, but,
balls
like,
below.
don't-
Balls below.
below.
I'm talking about the
Don't
top.
be a child.
The top. There's still a
There's still hair there.
Yes.
But it's not unwieldy.
No. It's short. and then everything below is.
All right,
gone,
Stephanie, set
gone.
us straight.
This
Set
I'm
us
is
straight.
gonna need to
data.
see this to be
Set
You
us
honest.
guys,
Hold
I don't know what you're
Stephanie
doing with
has
all
the
that
data.
butthole
Do your-
hair,
do your
but you
little-
got to
do
get
your
rid
little
of it.
rant later.
You
I wanna
have
hear
to
the
get rid of your
data.
butthole
I wanna
hair.
hear the
You gotta
data.
get.
Please.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank
No,
you.
thank you.
No, thank
you for your service.
No, thank you. God damn it! I love this episode. Okay, Steven, thank you.
Your balls
continue.
are weird, bro.
They're so smooth. They're
Preferred.
phenomenal.
Preferred.
Smooth as eggs.
So, moving on to the data. The options were manicured, which would be trimmed or buzzed down. The other was bare or bush. So 5% of women prefer bush on a man, 15% prefer bare, and 80% prefer manicured. So like trimmed, maintained.
Yeah, I'm
buzz.
living in the 80%. You're in the fucking 15,
No,
bro.
she's speaking
You're
to the top
trying-
line.
Above. We're talking about above the line.
This
right?
this poll does not question
it doesn't,
balls and taints.
It doesn't. I want
This
to say
is-
that it's also implied, but it wasn't explicitly
Yeah,
asked
it's a
either.
general- I got the
Not
vibe.
explicit.
I got it. That
Yeah.
confirms my biases. We can
Yeah,
move on.
same.
Okay.
We can move on.
So
But
just
All
maintain
right.
just
it,
know
if
you're living in
anything.
the
All right,
15%, dude.
I'd like to talk about one other thing about attraction before we move on to
right.
like more dating and sex
Sure.
talk. Okay, there is a sort of issue with the death of the gentleman. Like he is gone. The gentleman is dead, and instead what we have are incels and fuckboys.
It's an endangered species.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
better way to put it.
I would say some of us here, like we like that.
You are
vibe.
clearly, in
Thank
case
you.
nobody
I
listening
like
at home
that.
got this.
I like that
Well said.
whole
Well said.
thing. But there's a lot of betas, there's a lot of fuckboys, there's a lot of incels out there. My question for you
Betas
is,
can be gentlemen.
can they?
Yes, of course.
Hold on, let him go. Let
I
him
don't
go.
know what that means.
Let him go.
What is that? What does that mean? Question for you. Question for anybody here.
We'll do follow. We'll circle back on the beta alpha thing. I kind
Okay.
of want to hear your feedback.
Yeah,
on
let
that.
him go.
Maybe I
I
don't
wanna
know
go
what the
back
word.
to the-
Maybe I don't know what that means.
Let's keep it on
But
topic.
my question for you is, like, I'd like to talk about the culture of men today. What's going on? Why are they so apprehensive about approaching? Why have all of those chivalrous things begun to decay from society? And do women miss those things? Do they wish that there was more of that the way there used to be?
That's a lot. That's a lot. I believe that. Wait, could you repeat the first part one more time?
Specifically around the way men used to behave, like this gentleman vibe of approaching and being certain about what they wanted. Do you
Okay.
think that women miss that? Do you think that they wish that they had more of that sense of certainty around this man is approaching me, he knows what he wants, and he has that sort of gentleman aura to him? He's another word that Nick mentioned, like alpha sort of behavior. Because what's happening is, again, back to Nick's first point, there seems to be a lack of polarity. There seems to be this like dysfunction happening where men think that approaching is like a negative now. And so they're waiting and women are waiting. And I think that women are missing being approached.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think there's a problem there in general?
The first thing that came to mind, and I hate to say it, but almost options and the accessibility and even comparison. I feel like that could feed into the hesitation from a man's perspective. Like she always gets approached all the time. When in reality, like a 10 out of 10 might not get approached as frequently as like a 6 or a 7 because
That's
she's
so true.
far more approachable.
That's so true.
And that feeds into their confidence and I guess just their general thought around that. In terms of chivalry, women still want that, but I think that
Do you think some of today's movements have hurt that?
100%. The Me Too movement, like I said, I know a lot of people who have talked to me saying how hesitant they are going up to women and offending them.
Yes.
Or getting reported or something like that. And even the feminism, like they don't know where they stand because every woman is different. But I think like how we talked about it before, if you come across by saying, hey, I really want to do this genuinely, but I want to respect you if you want to pay, something like that. but like establishing that this is what you want to do and you have intentions of doing that. Right?
Right.
So can I throw a statement out at you? And I just want to get your feedback on it. So I think there's a lot of consensus that men today are maybe falling short in many areas. Would you agree with the sentiment that men are falling short because women have changed in terms of what they demand from men, and that men are just kind of following up on that? I guess what I'm saying is, like, do you think like men's behavior just naturally follows from whatever is demanded of women, or do you think it kind of goes the other way somehow?
I think that. Sorry, I'm going off on two paths.
That's okay. Riff it.
I think that women feel that they are entitled to more and they have higher standards because they have to do more for themselves. Whereas in the past, the man typically took care of everything and they just kind of had to chill at home, take care of the kids, all that. But now that they're doing more, they demand more.
There are some really beautiful, awesome things about like modern life, right?
Absolutely. It gives a woman purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
Like most women like were fucked after they had a baby. Like their lives
Postpartum
were just,
depression.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about
right.
that.
We don't talk about that.
No, I
We don't
can
talk
guarantee
about
the
that.
majority of men do not know about postpartum depression.
Right.
Massive.
And what it stems from.
Right.
And the fact that like their careers are basically sabotaged and destroyed for the most part.
It's their identity that they lose and they have to be okay with that.
And now they're like, okay, so I want a career. I don't want to give up everything just because I had a baby, but I want a baby and a career.
But it's so
How do I
tough
do
because
that?
it's expensive.
Yes.
Like,
very. Especially with
Right.
today's situation.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope, if and when in the future, if and when I have kids, I would be able to afford a nanny to help us out. Like that would be ideal. And that would really help out on an intimate level with my partner, right? To provide for that space. But a lot of people don't have that fortune.
Right.
So I have another question on the attractiveness category. But before I get to it, I just want to like plus one the idea of like the guy going to the most attractive women that they see in the bar or the music venue or whatever, with the idea that they may be the least approach woman in
She's
that
the most
place.
likely to say yes.
Yeah, and I went after my girlfriend because I was like, this is the most beautiful girl I've seen
Yeah,
here.
really outkicked your coverage. Pal.
Yeah, and my track record shows I did approach way out of my league, but like, and I still think she is, but I do think there's something to like go approach the most attractive because it's common that like most men are intimidated and they will just not have a conversation with them. So anyway,
Right.
I really
Or they-
like that. and
Or
I really,
they just think that she has a boyfriend
Yeah.
or a husband.
Assumptions.
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't think that's often the case. And so plus one for the encouragement to do that.
Yeah.
So on the attractiveness part, we've talked about men being alphas, being gentlemen. We've talked about them being providing. And so what comes to mind for me is like money. And what does a high earner, come into play when it comes to attractiveness? And I know you had some data on what women consider a high earner. And it seemed like the 100K mark seemed to be like kind of like a threshold where 35% of women said a man making 100K or more was a high earner.
No, more than that. If you add up to 200.
Yeah, so if you add it all up,
It's the huge majority.
it's the huge
Right.
majority. So maybe can you speak to like, how does a man's earnings come into play when it comes to attractiveness or even dating and going further?
Re- Resources.
Isn't that surprising though? Because I think most guys assume they need to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
True. So yeah, where does it kind of fall?
So background on that mini study, a lot of the voters came from cities like San Diego, LA, and New York, where the cost of living is higher and the salaries are generally higher.
Good point.
So that number could be lower.
Right. Exactly. What that translates into for me, my personal opinion, is resources. I think in a long-term partner, women value stability, reliability, and resources. And so that is typically the partner that they will go after.
And just to finish off some of the data from there, so 42% of women said it was over 200K. 16% of women said it was over 300K. So you could kind of see a lot of clustering around over 100 to 200K, right? And granted, that's like skewed towards high, I guess, high cost of living cities.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine that like you said, Armand, that the guys have this weighting towards millions of dollars.
Yeah, they think they need to be a multimillionaire to get a really hot girl's attention.
Right.
And so I have a further question on this is like, if a man is not necessarily high earning, but they're ambitious, they're motivated, they are clearly hungry to create a life that is better than what they have now and are clearly on that path, does that make up for if they're not a high earner now? Like, do you have any like, sense of feeling for what women
Yeah,
think
can
about
you
that?
speak to the ambition?
Yes. But that is something that I don't think women are patient enough with.
Okay.
Those are qualities that I would really value. Is maybe he's not fully there, but every single intention of his in stride and action is pointing towards that. And that is what I would invest in.
Boys,
Right?
you got to go younger. Just go younger.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really admire is that what I do see is that women like to identify and invest in men that are ambitious. Like they're ultimately looking for a guy who is saying, I want a great life. I'm here to provide for myself, for my significant other, for my family. Because I imagine a lot of what a woman feels is like, all right, if we're going to get married and or be in a relationship, and especially if I'm going to have babies with you, dude, we better be able to provide because I'm going to be out of work for a little while. That's a fact of
100%.
life.
Yeah.
So you better be ambitious to a certain degree where I don't feel like you're just going to get high on the couch.
Right.
And eat Cheetos.
100%.
Like I need to make sure that like you are going to show up.
Yeah.
So the first step is finding a man who is ambitious. That's the number one thing I've seen across all women. They're like, I'm looking for a dude who is responsible.
Right.
Generally. And it's not much to ask, honestly, back to what Nick was saying. It's not this like, I need you to be a multimillionaire. It's literally, I just need you to have a sense of where your career is going. Do you, and I'm here to support you.
I think
and the
it's
best women are those that are just
reliability
there to
as
support
well.
along for the journey.
Yeah.
What is that, reliability?
Yeah. I would say a big thing, even if they don't consciously see it as that, it's reliability for sure.
I have a related topic as Nick's data, it triggered something in my brain. Do you feel like women's expectations are sort of like unrealistic and don't meet like the normal distribution of men? Like whenever I look at this data about what women want, like they want a man who's like 6'3".
I knew you were
They
gonna
want
start with height.
like earn like 100K or like there's this website actually
I
that I
know
stumbled
it.
upon
I know
called
it.
like I Got Standards, bro, where you put
Yeah.
in like your thing
like the
and then
percentage of the
and it
person.
shows you the actual percentage of the population that
Yeah.
actually meets those things, and it's like a 100th of a percent.
Mine's in the
disagree
30%.
here. I'm going to stand up for women here and say this. I think that all the physical attributes
didn't
that
ask
they
you,
desire.
Armand.
No, but I'm here to respond. I'm responding. I'm standing.
Sorry,
for
well,
women.
you can get to it after Armand.
No, you
stops,
totally can't.
mansplaining.
No, dude, seriously. God damn it. Everything I say forward is going to be nonsense. No, if you want like a physical thing, that's lame. Like there's a small pool of those physical things. But if you want a behavioral sort of item like ambition, I think that's fair. Because one of the things that women do for men, and we'll get to this maybe a little bit later, is they mature men. Women mature men. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So if a woman raises a man's level in terms of responsibility, ambition, the way they show up in life, good. But like to say, I want you to look a different way. Yeah, there's a small pool of.
But that's like what people
you
are.
guys have totally.
But that's what people
I'm
are
not standing for
swiping.
this. You guys have totally derailed my question. My question was of the nature of like, do you think in your experience that women have like unrealistic expectations of men? Because when you poll them via data, what women say they want doesn't match up with like the general skew of how men actually are in the
But
population.
I think most of what they want is not the physical attributes to be different. They want the way the man shows
But
up
there's two
in
different-
the world to be
It's
different.
so-
No, there's
it's
two
just-
different things going on because on the one hand, like they're swiping on the physical attributes. Like they
Right,
don't know
right.
anybody. They don't know a single characteristic about a guy, and they're just swiping on him.
Steph,
So
what would
to
you say?
Steven's point, like
Yeah.
they're just focusing on the physicals
For apps, they are.
for that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I can help you with your dating profile.
So tell us, do you think women's expectations are too high in general?
Some of them, like when I think of that, a very specific woman comes to mind where she's like, I deserve this, I deserve that. But my question is, are you this? Are you that? Are you physically attractive? Do you take care of your body? Are you ambitious? Right? Things like that. So
Triple D tits, tattooed ass.
So to answer your question,
Amazing.
yes, I do think some women feel entitled to that. And is it realistic? No. And it sounds harsh to say, but I don't feel comfortable describing the type of woman that comes to mind. And I hate to say date within like your own thing, but you have to do work on yourself like you've been saying this entire time, right? Taking care of your mind, your body, your soul.
You have to, otherwise you don't feel confident to approach in the first place.
But how can you also attract the same person?
Yeah,
you want that person, but are you that person?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, so before we move on, and we should move on because I want to get through the whole process. I know we could talk to you for
Right,
like
we
15
started-
hours.
Let's get to
so
sex.
much information.
Can we get to sex?
Sex.
I kind of want. I feel like a lot of people are really curious about the pickup process. I know it's like a huge pain point. It's like the most horrifying thing for a guy. So I was curious if you have any data around like how women like to be approached, how men should be approach women, like any advice at all
You have
in that
data
area.
on follow-ups?
Do I?
That's an easy one. Yeah. It's like next day,
Well,
second
oh,
day.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
third
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Get to that in
Yeah.
the next section.
This is part of it.
no,
this
we're
is-
talking about picking up a woman.
I'm with you. Okay, fine. That's the next day. Fine. Okay. Picking up.
Okay.
On Steven's track.
The first thing that came to mind was at
Just
a
say
gym.
you listen to the Alfalfa podcast.
At a gym.
Duh.
Yeah.
At a gym.
Oh,
So
yeah,
wait,
that was a good
do
one.
women like to be approached at a gym?
Apparently.
Fuck
they do.
no. Come on.
No, they do.
Data
They do.
says yes.
Data says yes.
Data says yes.
75%, if I'm not mistaken.
75.
They like to be approached, but do they like to be asked out? That's
No.
a different
Build the
thing.
relationship, right?
Right.
So
A
talk
rapport.
to us.
Exactly.
Rapport.
okay.
Good,
So-
good nuance.
little,
good
hey.
nuance there. Good nuance.
Exactly.
there.
Hey, I've seen you around. My name is so and so.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Introduce
the type of
yourself.
approach they would like at the gym is to say,
Introduce
Right.
yourself. Don't fucking ask a girl out of the gym.
Build
That's
a rapport.
fucking disgusting.
Feel it out. Is there eye contact? Is there not like a little smirk, but like a genuine smile where you're like, okay, that was an engaging smile, not just like a polite,
Yes.
hi, bye.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, good one. Yeah.
Those are cues that you should be looking out for. But generally, yes, women do want to be approached. Do they want to be asked out? Maybe after you build a rapport.
Where are the best places for guys and girls to meet each other outside of apps?
Cliche, but doing the things that you genuinely want to do.
What, like yoga?
Do you like yoga?
Well, no, I'm not looking at
Faggots.
I mean, who's there?
No.
No,
Right.
I'm married. So I'm
I
speaking
love
for
yoga.
like, the guy who's like, I don't want to be on the apps, but I want to meet a woman in real life.
My sister and I walk on the boardwalk all the time. And on the weekends, there's a lot of people out. And I make eye contact with guys there all the time. So even walking out and about,
What does eye contact mean?
I see you, see me.
Mm.
Right?
Yes.
And are you going to approach me?
I'm in.
Alfalfa. Take note.
And so much easier said than done. I understand how daunting it can be to go up to a woman. Even on the flip side, where I have initiated and gone up to a man, I fully understand how that potential rejection could feel. But you don't know if you don't try. And I think a lot of the times practicing that, like intentionally practicing, okay, I'm going to go up to these girls and I don't really care about the outcome, but just practicing the conversation and getting comfortable with that sort of conversation and environment, it sets you up for
That's huge, Alfalfa. Like,
Yeah.
there's literally nothing to lose.
right.
Like, you go
Just
approach
don't-
somebody,
right.
and if they say no, you've literally lost nothing.
So
Right.
if women want to be approached at the gym, it seems safe to extrapolate that they actually are willing to be approached in a huge array of circumstances where we might not think we should approach women. But you're making a differentiation between approaching and planting a seed versus like going for the kill.
100%. I
Yeah,
think
they should just have a green light, just emitting
Kind of
from
like how
their
some
body.
people
Well-
network, right? They just go for it. They're
Right.
like, "Will you do business with me?" It's like,
Yeah.
"Who the fuck are
Yeah,
you?"
I got that.
yeah.
Like, let's get to know each other.
Yeah, and I do think you can catch women on an off day. There are some days where I genuinely like I have a hat on, headphones in. I do not want to make any eye contact. Some women won't have headphones or AirPods in, right? And that could be
Telltale sign.
Oh wait, yeah.
Yeah.
What
Game
so
on,
there's,
baby.
there's signs. You guys are telegraphing.
there's signs.
Stay away.
There's right, 100%. If we have a hat on, like headphones in, and we're looking down, we are not making eye contact, or we like quickly catch a glance and we're like, oh, type thing. Like we probably don't want to be approached. If you are going to approach women, the best way to do it at a gym would be on the way out, or like by the water if she's like filling up or something like that.
Yeah, not in the middle of the set.
and no hat, no headphones, hairs down. Or, I don't know what
Yeah,
what is an
mascara,
approach?
eyebrows
Yeah.
filled in,
Okay. Telltale
chewing
signs.
gum.
You do have. Go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say you posted a post like where do men and women meet most, and the top one was dating apps, and I kind of abhor them. But I did find some data on dating apps. I want to get your perspective, and the general consensus was like the top 1% of men get 16% of the total likes or swipes. The top 10% get 58% of the likes. So there's this like very highly concentration of the engagement among the top 10% of men. So I guess just curious, like, what are your thoughts on the fact that like a very small percentage of men are actually getting engagement or success on dating apps? What's your thought on it, and maybe any advice, I guess, just for men in general?
The advice would be for me not to plug myself in again, but for me to review your profile.
totally.
Because guys don't know what pictures are most attractive of themselves. Witty bios really help. A bit of self-deprecating humor really helps. It is just inviting for a conversation. Humor goes a long way. This might be a stretch, but the height. Some women who do pay for the premium will filter by height. And sometimes I say that, this might be controversial. Sometimes I say that.
We couldn't be more controversial on this podcast.
Perfect.
All right.
Sometimes I say that it's okay to exaggerate by an inch or two.
Round up.
Right.
If you're
If-
5'11",
if
if you're 5'11" and you're not saying 6,
If
like
you're
a
5'7",
moron.
say you're 5'9".
Yeah,
Really?
If you're 5'6",
I feel like that
say
was
you're
right for
5'8".
absolutely. She's talking to you.
Yeah.
What is she gonna do if?
Do you
like,
do you know
you're-
what like the
You just don't
like,
want to
the
get filtered
equivalence
out.
is? Speaking of filters, I feel like the equivalence of that is women with filters.
True.
True.
Well played.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
deceiving,
Yes.
and not that
You can
know,
even video filter now.
yeah.
And they're doing it
That's
because they're like,
crazy.
they'll like
Crazy.
me when they meet me. They'll
Yeah.
like get
Bullshit.
past
No.
like, shortcuts.
Okay,
No.
the main thing when I talk to my guy friends or even the guys that I help out, they get catfished or
Yeah.
kittenfished is what they call it.
Kittenfish.
Kittenfish.
Is that new?
It's like a little baby one.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So it's where women use pictures from years ago, from when they were younger. So it's called kitten fishing. And a lot of these guys will say that she's much heavier now than she was in her pictures. And so some things to look out for if you're not sure how she genuinely looks is if all her pictures are selfies and there's absolutely no full body pictures.
Red flag.
I know a person who's in love with a
Yeah.
person in another country and in a relationship with them and
Never
has never
met?
met them.
FaceTimed?
Oh yeah, all the time.
So why haven't they met?
Because they're just in love virtually. Some people like that.
That's modern love, baby.
Wait, I want to hear more red flags. What other dating app red flags do you have?
Okay, I mean that's a really big one. If they don't have, if women specifically don't have full body pictures, and only selfies or even filters with like the Snapchat puppy filter, things like
Oh,
that.
that's I hate
It's
that.
just-
Yeah, don't ever
yeah.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the ears and the
I don't-
puppy nose.
I don't know
I don't know
why
why. I don't
we
know why
still
women
do
do that.
Because they
that.
make you look better.
yeah, but it's like
you look like a
clearly
weird
like, you look like a
13-year-old.
yeah,
Fooled me.
very very odd. For guys specifically, let's see if I can give you some insight on like what are some best pictures to use. For you-
Mostly fish. We talked about this.
God, you would do so well.
Is the
You would do
fish
so
or
well.
key?
Fishing.
Fish or key? There is something like so I like fishing, and the masculine urge to share that fish when you get it is just insatiable.
Tell him no.
I'm gonna say no, but there
hard no.
was this thing. I can't remember who wrote it, but they're like,
Leave it out of the dating apps.
yeah. Well, it just now has like a bad notion to it. But somebody had
really
said
bad.
like, isn't it so sad that the only time a guy feels comfortable asking for a picture is when he catches a fish with his friend? Or something like that. Because guys just don't ask for pictures by their friends. They just don't.
Yeah.
Women are far more inclined to do that.
Right.
Okay, so let's say spark chemistry happens. Two people meet. It's a guy. It's a girl. They hit it off. They're together now. They're dating. And now they're in a stage of like wanting to explore one another. And we're going to get into some spice just so you mentally prepare.
I can tell by the weird way your voice.
Yeah.
A little deep.
You want me to go like 3 notches deeper or
Please don't.
2?
That's
you don't
fine.
Barry
That's-
White.
No.
So you get to a place where, oh, you just made this so weird. God damn it. So now they're in a place where the note that I have here is, well, each one has different perceptions of how to make each other happy.
Okay.
Men are overly focused on what they've learned from porn. Do you agree that most men have a fucked up sort of version of what it is to have sex and pleasure and make love in the first place to another woman?
100%.
And what do you think the problem is, and what do you think the solution is?
Is the problem porn?
I mean, I think
it
so,
might
but
be.
I
think it's a lack of communication in porn. I get so surprised every single time people ask me about their issues within the relationship and their sexuality or their intimacy with their partner. And I'm like, you should be asking your partner this. Do you like this? Is this okay? How does this feel? Things like that. That's the feedback that will create a deeper connection with your partner. In terms of porn, what it's doing wrong, it's not giving any feedback. They're fake moans.
it's sort of a one-way, the pleasure is for the man, the viewer sort of situation, right?
If you want
the entire
to see,
industry is dominated by men paying for
Right.
these situations that they want to see on camera,
Right.
and then jerking off to them 24/7, and then becoming numb to like what even sex is. And then they think that sex is, and this is my opinion, is like replicating and acting out what they see in those videos, which is just like jackhammer sex. And there's no focus on, it's nice. There's no focus on what does she need
right.
at all
I
whatsoever.
mean, why can't we just ask that though? I think that is so sexy when you check in with your partner. Does this feel good? Right? Because you can only assume so much. And I genuinely think that everybody is different. What worked for your ex may not work for your current partner. It just doesn't. Their anatomy is different. Their desires are different. And I don't think people ask enough for that feedback.
Is that the thing that you feel like most people are doing wrong the most?
Yes.
Like a lack of communication?
Yes, because either they're embarrassed, they don't want to come off as not confident in what they're doing, right? So they're
Interesting.
just
So you're saying like women are so unique, one to one to one, that they need to be asked what works for you.
right. And I mean, I want to take some responsibility as well. Women should be able to talk about what they want. I also really try to encourage women to initiate, to vocalize,
Which is
their
the number one
desires.
thing men apparently like.
It's crazy. So
Isn't that funny?
Yes. So the number one thing that men wish women would do more of is
Data
initiating.
point for the algo.
Is initiating specifically intimacy. So the women, starting up sexual stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
For women, they wish men would do more foreplay and slowing down. Like those were the top 2 most common responses, is slowing down and foreplay, which are kind of one and the same, because foreplay is, slowing that down and taking your time.
And also it's like non-penetration sex.
Yeah.
Because like you
Yes.
actually had a data point that like most women, the significant majority of women, don't get off by just pure penetration.
Right.
They need more in addition to that. And maybe the foreplay is part of that, right?
Yes. So let's say that stat. It's
25%.
That's the inverse.
75,
So, exactly. So 75% of women rarely or cannot orgasm without clitoral stimulation. So 25% can orgasm with penetrative sex.
And most guys just rely on like repeating what they saw on Pornhub.
Yeah, and that's not, lending a helping hand. That's
Yeah.
just jackboring.
Lending a helping hand.
No, genuinely.
Give me a finger here.
Like, I
Just start a
think,
charity. The lending a helping
Lending a
hand.
helping hand.
I deeply believe if men lended a helping hand, women would be so impressed.
Right.
So impressed.
We're gonna get
like,
Lend a
where did
Helping
you
Hand
learn
merch.
that?
That'll be the next T-shirt we have.
No,
I like that. I like that.
I honestly believe not only has porn fucked up like a man's perception of what a woman needs, because sex is more fun when she's getting what she wants,
Yeah.
and you're getting what you need,
Right.
But furthermore, it's like this whole idea of like what sex turns into. It turns into this like really overly casual act. It's just something you do to get off, and it's just become too accessible. Like,
Right.
if you really think about it from the perspective of like, I forget who said this, but like a king in like 100 years ago would not have seen the amount of naked women that a young boy sees today. A young boy can sign onto the internet and see more beautiful naked women than the king of France could see 100
Right.
years ago. That's fucking crazy.
And it's,
like,
not
it's too
because,
much.
it's not because the king of France wasn't seeing naked women.
No, he was seeing plenty of naked
He was
women.
seeing a ton of
He was
them.
seeing whatever he wanted to see in real life. But the internet has collapsed access to the point where you can see as much as you would like to see.
What's the average age? Do you know that they
Like
start?
porn?
It's 9, I
don't-
think.
Too
early.
I don't know. That
It's really
sounds
ugly.
really early.
Nine?
Might be 10.
Well,
it's 9 or
well,
10.
to stick up for my own younger self, like I had a black box through my
We did-
dad.
we did
and
an
I was, like,
episode on this, by
pixelated.
the way.
Yeah,
Yeah?
it was our
Yeah.
most popular episode.
Yeah, I
This
was
is
I
gonna be
was I
fun.
was very anti-porn actually, and they yelled at me. It's hurt my feelings a lot.
Well, no.
Wait, so why are you anti-porn and why are you pro-porn?
I'm not.
That was a gross
all.
oversimplification of what.
I think
I think I've been coming off pretty
right.
anti.
Do you guys think porn is okay while you're in a relationship
I like watching porn with my
with your partner,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Do you have any data on that? Like, is
Oh,
there,
yeah.
is there
Yeah,
any
I
data
think
on like
I
how many
do.
are interested? Is it the minority or the majority of women that are interested in doing it with their significant other?
Mm.
You've probably also asked if women think it's, I don't know if cheating is the word, but like they don't
Yeah.
want their
No,
guy watching
I
porn in a
have asked
relationship.
that. The majority had said that they don't believe it to be cheating.
They believe that emotional sort of connection with another woman would be cheating, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And like,
And less men feel that way.
just
Yeah,
to put
men
it back on
value
us,
more
like
physical.
if our chicks were watching porn, I would not be like, oh, you fucking cheated
No,
on
I
me.
get turned on.
Yeah, no, fuck no.
I literally
it's
get turned
it's
on.
different with guys.
I
It
bet-
just
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, I'm
like
like-
it's totally.
I have
different.
a specific question, and then we'll get on to the maybe the spiciest for our audience. But
boy.
you
Spicier
mentioned
than
like
that,
the
right?
clitoral stimulation. Have you have any questions on toys in sex or in the bedroom? Is that like something that's for women, minority or majority, pro, con? Like, are they for it, against it?
Should I pull up the exact stat or
Pull it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Pull
if you
up.
can pull
Yes,
it up, I
that's
mean,
pull-
we can do it.
You can ballpark it too. We don't need to know if it's
Okay, well, the
73 or 74.
Okay, I think it's. I want to say it's around 80% said that they have toys. But
I don't see
80%.
why not.
let me see.
It's the other
Why
20
not?
just like haven't felt it yet.
Haven't
Haven't tried it.
yeah, toys
I
are
did.
fun.
I did like a whole series on masturbating for women.
Toys
That's
are fun.
fantastic. I think like that should be more promoted more. Like
Yeah.
women should know what feels good to them, so that I think it helps the relationship better when they know.
Very good point.
When they know, so they can communicate. I like this. I don't like
I-
You know
that.
what?
I think
Let's
what you're
just
really
go
driving
over,
at-
Can we go over this whole article? I feel like it's
Yes.
Yes,
really
please.
good.
Yes.
Some stats.
Give us the stats. Give us the data.
Is this one of your blog posts?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, do you want to call
On
it out?
selfcareeverydamnday.com.
Find it?
That's it.
Okay.
Yes. And the title is "Do Women Masturbate?"
Never.
And 91% of women said yes, and this was based on over 300 women. The other was, do women ever experience shame or negative emotions after masturbating? 77% said no, 19% said sometimes, and 4% said yes. How often do women masturbate? The majority said a few times per week. 35% said a few times a month. 12% said barely / every couple months. And 9% said every day.
That's it.
How many women have sex toys? Oh, I was wrong. It was 62%. Still the majority, but 62%. do women watch porn? So it looks like 72% said yes or sometimes, and
72.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
28% said no.
Yeah, but that's lower than
I think it's higher.
it's.
I think more women
Really?
just didn't
Yeah,
vote
they
because
don't
they
vote.
don't want to say.
They don't want to say.
But I think the majority of women do.
That's
What
surprisingly
kind
high.
of porn do women watch? Straight or girl on girl? The majority said both. And when you're in a relationship, do you fantasize about your partner or other people? 77% said mainly my partner. 28% said other people.
What was the guy's answer to that? Do you know?
About the same.
Well, it was that question earlier about do you fantasize about your
Well, your data was like
girlfriend's best
75
friend?
or 77% of men fantasize about their best friend, right?
Yeah.
Or something
Yeah.
like that.
No, it was 81%.
Or just a general female friend.
Yeah.
It was really high.
Really high.
Yeah, that's a bit gnarly.
How do you think we're different?
Men and women?
Yes.
Let me count the ways.
No, but like genuinely, what are the ways in which we're different where it's just okay? That's just where we're different. And that's like the way it should be.
Right, that's the way it should be, but I don't think people are okay with that or think that's the
I'm
way that
asking
it
you.
should be.
How do you think it should be? What is because there is that's the culture war. part.
Right. And that's
The
what's
culture war we discuss on this podcast and we have a field day about. But like what do you think is like really natural? Like
Yeah.
what do you think really is going on?
the first thing that came to mind in terms of sexuality, because we were just talking about that, men are far more visual. I feel like a man could look at a random woman and be like, that's my wife. Whereas a girl she could, appreciate he's attractive, but she would need to know far more about him to make that assumption. Would you guys agree? Have you ever?
I looked
love
at my
at
current
first sight or
girlfriend
something like that?
when I saw her and I was like, that's my wife. I'm gonna go talk to her.
Right.
Yes,
I
but I
hope
was
she is.
surprised.
I
Yeah,
really,
she is. So
I
it's
was
all good.
surprised by one of your polls, though. One of your polls said that a large majority of women know that they want to have sex with the guy after one date. I was surprised by that.
Really?
I thought it would be like 3 dates, which is usually what you see. They usually would like 3 dates.
I feel like that's kind of the unspoken rule. Like a lot of guys had said, if she doesn't put up by the third date, I'm out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's just too long.
But my
for
advice to my
most guys.
daughter would be wait.
Like 6
Oh,
months.
the advice from Stephanie is, ladies, wait.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, but
How long?
I would say I don't have like the exact answer to that, but I would say at least, like preferably a month, at least 3 weeks.
What percentage of guys do you think is going to wait a month to have
I
sex?
don't know. But I do know just from asking different questions from different angles on this specific topic, whether if women should wait to be respected or taken seriously as a partner. The majority of men had said yes, they should wait.
Okay, this is really
I
interesting
agree
to
with
me.
that. Are you saying that men will just like get bored and leave after
Yes.
like a few? I
Yes.
disagree with that.
I think that
so
they would
wholeheartedly. Oh my
leave-
god.
I'm with
Yeah.
you, Steven.
I
I'm
don't
with
say
you.
that they get bored, but sometimes
The right
there's
guy would
different-
stay.
Right.
But
There's
that's what you
That's
want,
the
isn't
point.
it? Isn't that the point?
Okay. Yeah.
there. It's just, I get it. That's what you want, and like the right person will stay. But a lot of the times, the guys are like, if she's doing this with me, imagine who else she's doing this with.
As long as he's getting something. There are, and I'm like looking back at like old relationships here from a long time ago. But like if a girl tries to say like you cannot encroach at all, well then that's just like a red flag to me.
Yeah.
But if she's like, no, we can have fun,
Right.
but I'm going to communicate to you that sex is an important milestone to me. And
Yeah.
when we have that sex, it's because we're serious. But in between now and full blown sex, we're going to have fun and we're going to
Yeah,
be
that's
sexual.
fair.
It's totally like fun and fair. But like there are some girls that are like, I'm zero.
Yeah.
And I think guys get
That's
like,
tough for
what's
guys.
going
That's
on?
really,
Like, I'm not doing
really
this.
tough for guys
Yes,
because
it's very tough.
guys need that.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys do.
Well, because we feel like we're losing if we're not getting anything. no, it was just says like I'm not getting anything. I'm not winning. She
Right.
must not like me.
A lot of that translates into that. A lot of guys will be like, well, she didn't kiss me, or I didn't kiss her on the first date. She
Okay,
must
well,
not be
We
interested.
don't have.
Kissing's
They'll start to
different.
analyze. No, but they'll start to
Kissing's
analyze and say like we don't have a sexual chemistry at all,
Right.
and then it becomes too big of a leap from nothing to sex is too big
Well,
of a jump.
particularly if you're like a in-demand single person, then you probably got other people going on too. So it's like if this one just kind of falls by the wayside, but you're like progressing with other people, then it's like it becomes pretty obvious. So I get your point, but like I do think that you begin to categorize people very early on as like, is this person serious? And then for somebody who you do deem serious, you'll willingly wait 3 weeks or a month or whatever.
100%.
I want to. I have a thought, and I want to get your feedback on it because I don't know if it's correct. But like, I have this generalized feeling that like sex has just become too abundant of a commodity, just in general in society. Especially if you are a guy like towards like the top of the hierarchy, it's just like too easy to get sex. It's just fucking everywhere.
Yeah, the apps.
Yeah.
The apps fucked it up for everybody.
Yeah, and I kind of do feel like it's contributed to the decline of dating and relationships in a particular way. And it feels like I feel like sometimes icky saying that because it sounds like anti-feminine because I'm saying like, no, you women, you should keep it in your pants and don't do that. But like at the same time, I'm just sort of observing what's happening around me. And I think men just sort of adapt to
That's what I was saying
what is
earlier.
happening.
Yeah, we also know like high value guys that are like in demand who are like getting laid all the time by
Yeah.
like
So why do they have
chicks.
to really put in
So
an
it's
effort?
like, yeah, so it actually does dilute
It's like a
the
collective.
act.
It's like a
it-
collective action problem
It
amongst
does.
women.
Yeah, it is.
I wonder what
a
would
real
happen
thing.
if all women came together and they're like, we are not having sex. For
I'll tell you what would happen. Within like 3 days, every man would just change. Like
I-
they'd just be like,
I
oh, that's it. That's the line. Okay, we're
100%
just
agree.
gonna
Absolutely.
adapt.
100% agree.
Yeah.
All right, I got one last sexual dating question before we move on to the relationships, and it's one that was most commented on, I feel like. And it's also like a very alfalfa answer because it's nuanced. But Steph, does size really matter?
I was hoping for this
And
one.
Great one.
what?
I really
is
like
the
this
question?
question.
Yeah, let's talk
So
about
let's
dicks.
talk about it.
Because
Can you? I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear any of the guys' answers on this.
Let's talk about dicks, he says. Oh, I really need a
Well,
clip of that.
I want Stephanie
Guys,
only
And-
answer.
grew up.
I don't know if you or if anybody has digged into the blog articles that I wrote or the video, but I had explained that it's not just about his anatomy; it's also about her anatomy.
She
And
got a big
lot
vag.
of-
I'm normal. She's got a big vag.
Excuse me, some women are just born that way, and
Yeah,
that's okay.
sure.
Just the same way men are born with micropenises. Like
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
I'm
very
going.
good
If you're
analogy.
going to say that, I'm going to say that.
No, that's a very
So
good analogy.
it really
Hey,
depends
there's
on.
nothing wrong with micropenises. Okay?
I
Perfectly
understand.
acceptable.
I understand.
But look, yes, I will say that size matters because it matters on his side and on her side.
Good point. It has to be a match.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like on a scientific level, I believe the G spot in a woman is located just 2 inches in and upwards. Just 2 inches.
It's a lot to ask.
Just 2 inches. And remember, 75% need clitoral stimulation. So does size really matter? It depends on.
I
the
think
woman.
everybody likes average or above
Yeah.
average.
Okay, contrary.
No one likes to think like not no one, but like if we're talking about the majority of people,
Yeah.
they don't want to know they're like it's just like dealing with like micropenis, and yet micropenis has a opportunity in and of itself. Like
Yeah.
there is a space for
It was
that.
interesting because, like, I think most men would expect 90% of women to say yes, but it was actually half,
Right.
roughly
Right.
half.
Right.
That's
Right.
And
it.
I did multiple studies on that.
Okay.
And it all came about the same.
There
Yeah.
we go.
I guess what I would say or question is like, what does a man with not a lot do? Like that just feels.
He's got 75%
You know
of
what?
the game.
Okay.
I just for the first time honestly like put myself there. I'm like,
good question.
what do you do?
So this was recently brought to my attention with somebody who has this challenge. They wear sleeves. Guys have sleeves.
Wait, what?
What?
You're
Yeah.
from the porn store, from the sex shop.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Wait,
Yeah,
There's
you wear
like
a, you wear a,
penis
you wear
sleeve.
a.
A sleeve.
Condom?
No,
No,
like
you're
a,
talking about like an add-on.
Yeah,
I feel like Armand.
yeah.
I've never heard
Yeah.
of this.
Dude, I just went to the sex shop recently, and you should go to the sex shop more often. And
With
like,
your partner.
you can
That-
wear,
that's a good take.
You can wear a add-on.
Yeah.
What?
You can go from like 7 to 9 or 9 to whatever the hell you want.
But
You
to be
can go.
clear, the G
You
spot's
can,
only
like-
2 inches in there. So
No, it doesn't
Ding, ding,
matter
ding.
because you're just trying to show your schlong. That's the point. Most guys are trying to,
Wait, hold on.
give
Is this
this
like
whole
for a
show.
physical appearance, or is
Yes.
this for the actual physical anatomy
Everything.
of sex?
Everything,
Stephanie.
but more so anatomy, or
Everything.
at least the
Anatomy.
way that he was describing it to me. He had a partner, and he was telling me how this is, what they do.
Wow.
It's an
Okay.
add-on.
Yeah.
You
Sleeve it up.
literally wear
options.
a
Yeah.
sleeve on top.
I do want to say that I feel like a lot of guys think that women want this huge situation. They don't.
They
That
don't.
actually hurts and it's uncomfortable and you really
Yeah.
can't do much with it.
Yeah.
So
I've
Yeah,
heard that,
but
I've
I
heard
think,
that my whole
I think,
life.
yeah, I think porn has been misleading in that way.
Yeah, 100%.
Where men assume that women want something enormous, out of range.
it would
but they
actually be
don't.
interesting to see what the most common porn that women look up. I would probably suggest men to look up the same.
Good advice.
What are they looking at? What turns them on?
As we move to relationships, one of the questions you had was how many men and women are interested in an open relationship.
Yeah.
Do you recall what is roughly that?
I think
that
it was
data?
over 70% were not.
Not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of expected, but
Yeah.
still that a quarter.
It's quite a bit of people that
quite
are
a bit.
into the openness.
Quarter of men.
23%
quite a
of
bit.
men were.
If you
Yeah.
don't mind, I think maybe a way to phrase the discussion around this is like, what do you think about like the future of relationship
Yeah.
in general? Like,
Yeah.
do you think that there is a case for, poly sort of like relationships? Do you think that's growing? What do you see? Like,
I think it's growing in the sense where people are exploring it more. Is it here to stay? I don't know. I have personally never seen it work out long term.
you've never seen it work.
No. And I've tried to because I know a few people personally who have opened up the relationship. And at least the people that I know, it has ended because they opened up their relationship because their needs weren't getting met on some level.
Is that a sign of actual success or failure? Like, let's
I don't-
define what
I
a
don't know.
relationship is supposed to be in the first place. So maybe a better question is like, should a relationship last a lifetime?
Right. But what is a lifetime? Because aren't we living longer? Like, is it
I know.
even realistic?
I don't know. That's the
I
question.
don't know either. That's
Right,
why.
because like if
Like-
50% of marriages
is-
end in failure,
Right.
then like
because then there's the whole prenup thing,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
should relationships last?
My mom always
Like-
said that we should have like a 7-year contract. Should we renew this? Should we go another 7 years?
I like that. I think I kind of like that.
pretty
you know?
wise.
I always talked about most people do the biggest celebration for the relationship on their marriage day, which is essentially day 0, which doesn't really mean much of accomplishment if you ask me. But like what I would like is if we normalized, the 5-year anniversary, throw a party. The 10-year anniversary, throw a bigger party. The 20-year anniversary, throw the equivalent of what we do now as a
That's
wedding,
I like
which is
that.
extremely expensive, extravagant. You're spending
You're
a
right.
lot of money, and let the couple like build money and put it into things that can grow them financially,
Yeah.
but also celebrate the right things. Not the beginning of a relationship, but like the accomplishment of staying in a relationship.
You know,
Right.
like put that on chain with a smart contract.
Yeah, I would love to crypto that.
Do you believe in marriage?
I do. Yeah, I do. And I think a lot of my work stems from trying to get all these answers so I don't repeat my past patterns or my parents' patterns. But I do believe in marriage. I do believe in the union to support your children and having that foundation.
Is that a big part of it? Is what it does for children?
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like a household
Mm-hmm.
that is whole, and like what two male female figure provides. Like,
yeah.
is that a big part
I think
of it?
it's up until the 7 years, like those are the most impressionable years in childhood. That
Yeah, I don't know about you, but
Uh-huh.
like my parents got divorced when I was 8 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very traumatic. It was very difficult, and I was just a kid. And I remember my uncle walking up to me in the driveway, being like, "Hey," I think I told Eric this story. I was like, "Hey," he was like, "This is it. This is what's happening." And like, "Do you understand?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I totally understand. Like, this is what's happening." I was like too mature for my own age because I'd seen
Right.
too much. And looking back, I'm like, man, would it have been right for them to stay together for my own sake?
yeah.
You know? And there's so many questions there of like, why are people together in the first place? And
Yeah.
they have to have kids, and then they have to decide whether they should or should not stay together for the sake of the child. And like, that's
Right.
such a complicated situation, because this all starts with where this conversation started: how to be attractive, how to have sex,
Right.
how to pleasure him or her, how to then be in a relationship, how to then get married, and then you get married, and then you have kids, and then all of a sudden you're fucking dealing with this little human.
Right.
So
And then
true.
you're asking yourself, like,
I-
how do I do this?
And once you get to step 4, like it's not like step 1 doesn't matter anymore. Like it all still applies. Like that,
Yeah, exactly. What you were saying about if you should stay together, if it's that level of toxicity. I saw this viral reel of this girl kind of setting this other girl up, saying like, why would you break up a family? But if there is that level of toxicity, you're already, those impressionable 7 years of childhood, that toxicity is there. And if you could have a civilized relationship, I guess, disconnected or divorced, separated, I feel like I would do that instead of dwelling in that toxicity. I would have to choose also living your own life while still taking into account your children's lives.
Do you
So-
think marriage is still useful outside the context of like we want to have kids, or do you think it's just an institution meant like built around children?
I a little of both. I think it depends on what kind of life you want to experience with your partner.
it's really subjective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But of course that can be like a prenup involved.
I had a question about that. So, any data or opinions on prenups? Like, are they acceptable? Should they be used? Should they not be
Yeah.
used?
I
What are,
actually
what are
took
your
a screenshot
thoughts or,
of
or
data, so
bring out the notebook.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, I mean, like, I think prenups are a controversial
Okay,
topic
what do you
for
guys
some
think?
reason.
Wait. Majority of men, majority of women, what do you think?
So I think it's more like a majority of men would prefer the
I want
prenup than the
percentages. What do
women.
you
I think
Wait, is it? Are they okay with it? What is the exact question?
Yeah, what's the question?
Let me pull it up. Would you want a prenup?
Would you want,
Want
a prenup?
a prenup.
well,
I'm
I
gonna say
think
60% men, yes. 20% of women, yes.
I'm
yeah.
gonna say 12% of women. Yeah, I don't even know. 12 might be high. I'm gonna say 12% of women, yes. and
67% of men, yes.
I'm gonna say 40% of men. 12%
Good
of women.
fucking almost catch.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go 40 men, 10 women.
68% of women said yes.
What?
Apologies. 68% of men
Okay.
said yes.
Oh, God.
32% said no. For the women, 48% said yes.
Whoa.
52% said no.
Oh wow, I am way off.
Wow,
Damn.
so half of women say they would
They want a
prefer, or they
prenup.
would they kind of
would
they want.
They want.
And do we
Yeah.
know like where the motivation behind that particular answer stems from, or any opinions on
I'd
like
like to
why
see
that
pre and
why that
post
exists?
Me
Because like
Too, dude.
my
Mind is
my
blown.
original answer would be like a significant minority, like under 30%.
Yeah, I would have thought the same. After this was posted, a lot of people wrote in saying, I would want a prenup if I had a trust fund, something like that. There were other people who gave education on what a trust fund, on what a prenup actually is, which is you could totally structure it. For some reason, there's this stigma with a prenup, that it only protects the man for whatever reason. But at its core, at least in my belief, it is when you are thinking most logically, and that's when you should be making these decisions, not when you're in that chaos and whatnot.
So you're saying that a prenup can be used to protect the woman in that scenario, and
Absolutely.
like define the amount of
Absolutely.
support in the case that,
Yeah, if we have kids,
assuming
this
that
is what's
obviously
going
the
to
man is
happen.
supporting, but like
Right.
it can be customized.
That's an illuminating stat. Illuminating.
Damn.
Do you believe in the idea of like finding one person to be with for the rest of your life?
I want to believe in that, right? But do I believe in that? I don't know. I think that, I know that I've had really deep connections with multiple people, and then at the end of it, it's fleeting. Like if you meet someone traveling, you have this intense connection, right? Those are
Totally.
the best when you're traveling.
Yeah.
And then you guys kind of go your separate ways and you just have this, image in your mind where you're like, this was amazing, but is it long term? I want to believe that there is that one person, but I just think that the longer we live, I just don't think that's sustainable.
Sorry for interrupting. Did you have when it comes to like relationships and being sustainable and letting them grow? I think I saw a blog post on attachment styles. Was that right?
I love attachment styles.
Okay, can you maybe just briefly describe because
Yes.
this is like a for anyone who's been in couples therapy or like any therapy, usually attachment styles come up.
Oh,
And
they do.
Yeah, they do. And it's like an important part of relationships being sustainable, which is why I bring it up. So can you maybe educate us a little bit on attachment styles?
Yeah. So everybody knows about love languages.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know
That was
about
a paradigm
attachment styles.
shifter.
Yeah.
Big one.
I think attachment styles are probably more important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of how you show up in a relationship. There's 3 main ones, which is anxious, secure, and avoidant. And depending on what kind of partner you are with, they can trigger all of these. And you can be one yourself. So an example, an anxious person would be somebody who always thinks the worst. Their fear is abandonment. And so they latch on, they're clingy. They cause a lot of fights. If they're avoidant, you can be anxious and avoidant. You kind of act like everything's all cool and like nothing's bothering you, but inside you are dying. You are dying. Or if you are just straight avoidant, anytime intimacy gets really close to you, you're like, ooh, this is super cringy. I don't want to spend time with this person anymore. Like I'm done. Because that's when like intimacy is closer to you. And then secure just means that, I guess, this is who you are open to this, and you are very much okay establishing your needs and asking for your needs to be met and meeting the needs of your partner. So I would say that in the past, if I was with an avoidant partner, I would show up as an anxious partner because he would bring that out in me. I have been the avoidant partner in the past as well with an anxious partner.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But you can be secure on your own, but a partner can trigger these different attachment styles.
And from what I understand, most of these attachment styles are kind of determined when you're a child and like how you grew up maybe amongst your parents and your most intimate relationships as a child. And maybe it's not of like, how do we change your attachment style, but just being aware of what your attachment style
Yeah, your
is.
triggers.
When you go into a relationship, what your triggers are.
This person is not good for my nervous system.
Right.
Like that is triggering.
Well, I like Stephanie's take that like it might not just be from birth. It might be like this counterpart leads me down this other path where I'm not secure.
Right.
Where you might be secure with somebody else, but with this particular person, you're feeling insecure.
Exactly.
Are there any other data points that you've learned or frameworks that you like for people who are in relationships already to be like, how do I make sure this thing continues successfully?
Yeah, there was a question asked the other day about how to, I guess, like keep it lively and spice it up if it becomes stagnant.
Yeah.
And a lot of people said to date.
Sex toys.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not already
Really?
doing that, do that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Some people mention that.
Just threw that in.
Dating all over again. Somebody said like, I mean, this was just one person, but like no more than 3 days without sex.
That's a good.
I mean, that's
a good.
yeah, sure. But those are just somebody's own
I
preferences.
think if you go past 1 week, you're fucked.
You think so?
100%. I have this whole
It's
theory
just so
around
tough
it.
because there's so many
Nope.
different factors. Like,
Do not accept less
about
than 1
kids?
week. Anything more than a week, it's over.
That's like such a silly
No,
overgeneralization. People have different sex drives.
Nope. 1 week. That's it.
Then I'm over. And
Never
This
let
man
a
who told
week
you he
go
was
by.
so fucking in love, he couldn't even believe it
Dude,
6 days ago. It's
I'm
actually over.
I'm telling you, never let a week go by.
I'm done.
If you're past it, get back there because like a week is the right level.
well,
It's
I
the right
guess
level.
Armand's put the writing on the wall. I'm
Dude,
done.
I mean, when I was at like an every other day level. So like a week is a lot. So
You've noticed that you might be a little more of a romantic than the average person, right?
very romantic, but what does that have to do with sex kids?
I think there's a bit of a correlation, wouldn't you agree?
I don't know. I really believe like if you go too long, like it just becomes too normalized.
All right,
Like,
request a stat from Stefan's
Yeah, do you
audience.
have-
I would like
data
this.
on
I would like this
relationship.
stat.
What is
I would like
maybe
this
like
stat.
relationship over a year?
Yeah, has anybody
What is
lasted?
the-
By the way,
has
I'm 11
anybody in
years
history
in.
lasted
11
20 years
years?
in marriage?
Yeah. I'm 11 years in.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've asked people what they want, and the result is not 100% more than 1 week, right?
I think I've asked how often men want oral sex and how often women want
Oh,
oral
every day.
sex. No.
No, I would like it every day.
Yeah. That's what I expect every man to say. The majority said I think it was like 19% or something like that. I can pull it up. But
I wouldn't want that.
Every day, bro.
That's too much.
it's just like
It's too much. You need like a break to like
Not for oral.
build anticipation and
No,
sit.
no, no.
All right,
You don't want to like wake up and eat a box
24,
of cookies every
Steven,
morning.
24 hours of anticipation.
Vialgo's got the
So
stats.
19% of men said they want it every day. 55% of men said they would like it a few times a week.
Okay.
So you're talking about the majority of men a few
Honestly,
times a week,
even
but not every
once
day.
a
wait,
week
how many
is
men said every
phenomenal.
day?
19%.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Not
yeah.
a lot.
But
Yeah.
you would expect that to be like,
That's what
yes,
I
100%,
expected. Duh.
hammer down, I want it
The
every day.
question was, would you like?
But it's also it's also aspirational in a way. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
you're like, come on, like you're not like really asking the question, every fucking second. If I'm being honest,
Oh my goodness.
I mean, on that note, do you have any like interesting or surprising data that you really want to share that we haven't like kind of organically gotten to yet?
I was surprised about how many guys are into butt stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you said it was
Okay.
over 50.
Tell us more about
right?
this.
Well, no,
what does that
just
mean,
that-
butt stuff?
Playing, just playing.
Yeah, playing,
yeah,
Okay,
your balls
no.
must
teasing,
get pegged, that's
fiddling.
clear.
It's a little
talking about-
diddly-
Never even
it's
heard
a little
that phrase
diddly do.
before.
Yeah.
Not full pegging.
Right.
I don't know
Right.
what pegging means.
Pegging is like insertion.
Okay.
I was surprised about how many people have been cheated on. I think it was over 70%, and that's the people who know. That doesn't include people who
Most
don't find
guys
out.
never know.
I mean, women as well.
Well, I heard, tell me if this is wrong, but I hear that like most guys are unaware of the cheating like happening.
As if women are better at getting
Better.
away with it.
Better.
Yeah.
At
Why?
getting away
I
with
would
it.
believe that. Yeah.
okay,
It
well,
was like a stab from a different person.
that might be fair.
kinda-
That
it
might be
makes
fair, but
sense.
like I think
Pass the
if you
smell test.
live long enough, you're going to be cheated on. I think that's like
Sure.
fair.
So
That-
fucked up.
No, super. But like, I think women are generally cleaner about keeping it.
Yeah, I think they are probably better at
Yeah.
doing that. I do believe men cheat more.
Right.
I think their psychological disposition makes them susceptible to acting on the circumstance.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But women do cheat like a surprisingly high amount, though, right?
Yeah.
It's probably like ultimately about 50-50, and like we just
I would
assign,
guess
well,
it's like a
well,
60-40
men
thing.
if men said that, or 70% of men said that they have been cheated on, then yeah, women are doing about the same.
right. It's a human thing. Like I think that's
But women just have higher and different standards, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There was a study, but done on a college campus, where a woman would go up to a guy, various guys, and say, "Do you want to sleep with me?"
Oh, I've seen this.
And what was it, over like 80% of these guys said
Yeah.
yes,
right.
whereas like 3% of the women said yes.
Right. Well, there's that aspect, but there's also like so much nuance in between where it's like, okay, so we dated our first year in college. Like, like how much emphasis do you want to put on that relationship versus like your marriage? You know, like there's so much there's so much room
Yeah.
in between that as well. Like, I think at the end of the day, humans are gonna human. You know, like humans are gonna fuck each other.
I have this. I don't know how much more you guys have, but I think just to work toward wrapping up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
I had this video I came across recently, Stephanie. It was like about the Beauty and the Beast, right? You know the Disney movie, and it's interesting because Belle.
Wait, did you watch it by any chance?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, she watched it.
Well, like
She
everyone's
watched the
seen
clip,
the
but
original.
intro it.
Oh,
She watched the actual JP clip.
Oh, okay. So there is
I like him a lot, by the
for
way.
You
the
do?
viewer.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's polarizing. I don't really understand why. But
Armand is very happy to hear this.
I really
loves
like
him.
him.
I don't understand why.
Why
My
people
wife
like it?
watches more Jordan Peterson than I do. I don't understand why he's polarizing. Everything he says
People
is.
say he's misogynistic and all that. I personally love him.
Let's
Wish he was
explore
my
this
dad.
for a second. Oh, he's a great dad figure.
Interesting.
Well, he is the uncle of the internet. So you've seen the clip. Great. In the clip, Bell is presented. First of all, he loves to analyze Disney films and archetypes in general. And the archetype that Bell represents is a intelligent, confident, educated woman who knows exactly what she wants and is approached by Gaston, who is this
Fuckboy.
extremely, he's a fuckboy.
Yeah.
Extremely handsome, suave, flexes. He's got all the goods. And yet she is self-aware enough to dismiss him, move on from him, and meets this disgusting figure.
Actually, he's quite handsome.
Well, hold
He's
on.
like a handsome beast.
Hold on, no. Before he becomes the beast himself is a hairy,
Right.
tall. Like I don't know. I mean, if you
The
think
look
that's
of
handsome,
beast.
like,
He is
I mean,
tall.
Okay,
If the Beast was 5'3", it'd be a totally different movie.
Because I watched JP's video as well, and he catches himself by saying, "The Beast is this big." Well, hold on, like because big is obviously a qualifier for women.
Yeah.
So, like,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
No,
any-
the beast is a beast. I mean, that's his name. He's a beast. But he's also difficult and challenging to understand. He
Right.
has, as Jordan Peterson describes him, which is so accurate, he has potential. Right?
What's his potential?
Well, we see it in the movie. We see it in Beauty and the Beast. His potential
Well,
is
he's got
that
a fucking mansion and he's huge.
Ding,
Well,
ding, ding,
no,
ding, 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 ding. He's a prince. He's a prince. He's
No, I'm not trying to
royal.
get really deep and meta with this. It's
Like
much deeper than that.
I think because
Thank you,
I watched
Steven.
that video and I was like, that's not the original story though.
True. The Beast is a prince and he has a mansion like 10x. And that is a big part of what makes him him. But he also has potential as a human being, as a beast.
He's protective.
Yes.
He's caring. He's reliable.
What I think Jordan Peterson was trying to describe is that the way in which he has potential is that a woman, and this is definitely, I will definitely fight for this. What Belle provides is maturity. When she comes into his life, he changes. He becomes this person. He becomes a person.
Right.
He goes from beast to person.
That's what transforms.
That's what
Okay,
transforms.
I love this.
So he becomes a person who is gentle, humble. He goes from like, I seek all to I seek the simple. He becomes someone who like wants to take care of his own. Like he becomes a provider, as we've talked about earlier.
Did Belle ask any of that from him?
No. And what I'm asking you, and what I personally believe is that, and what Jordan Peterson says in this clip, is that it seems like the role of certain women, the hero story that certain women embark upon is to mature a man. Like ultimately what they do for a man is they help him become a
Right.
man.
Right.
Because so many of us are boys. I have been a boy for so goddamn long. I have avoided having a wife and children for so goddamn long. I have. It's true. And the reason is because I'm terrified. But once I stepped into it, I realized that there's so much like beauty in it. That like what I've been avoiding is this like natural progression of becoming a man. And it's actually an incredible thing. And I don't know why I've been avoiding it. So I'm curious of your take on like, do you think that women deep down know that that a big part of their role is to help mature men?
I don't think the majority of women know that or feel that. And I almost want to say it's not necessarily mature, but it's almost to inspire to mature. Like I've seen time and time again where guys feel inspired to do more, be more, work harder because they now have this woman in their life that they want to be that person for. Right? That's what I've seen. But that goes back to our first conversation about women having this masculine approach where, as I explained, that the feminine does not ask or demand it kind of explains and says, I would love this. This is how I feel. And Belle never once asked anything, right?
Can I ask you a follow up on that?
Mm-hmm.
So you've talked about the woman like receiving, right? But what Armand was talking about is this idea that like this feminine force takes the man who is sort of like naturally in the wild, this like beast type figure, and actually can kind of like mold him into this like civilized, in the like that feminizing force can make men better. So how do you reconcile that with the idea that women are, people might interpret receiving as being like passive, but what Armand is saying sounds like a very active thing to like change a man.
It's just not, it's not a passive thing. It's kind of like showing your standards and your values through doing on the woman's side, and the man kind of observing and meeting that and wanting to.
I believe women aren't conscious of the role they play in a man's maturity.
Yeah.
To what Stephen is saying, I think that most women don't realize how critical they are to our evolution. We are fucking biologically driven fuckboys until we meet the right woman.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, she turns us into this thing that we didn't know we could be.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. And I don't think women realize that.
Yeah.
And if more women realize that, I think that they could actually help us mature more quickly. Because like I realized that everything I was afraid of was nonsense. It was just like I made it up. You know, it's actually awesome. It's awesome to be committed to someone. It's awesome to have a baby. It's awesome to become a like a responsible figure in life. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I think.
I just wonder how women can actively do that, right? Like if there was a blueprint, because I feel like
it doesn't come in the beginning. I can tell you that much.
No.
For me, it comes after 11 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I just think that a lot of guys can get repelled or feel like they're being smothered.
Totally.
Right. But then one day they end it with the girl. The next day they're in a relationship fully committed to another girl. So is it the person on a person by person basis? I don't know.
That's a deep question. Do you guys have anything else?
No, I mean, Stephanie, like you have a very unique point of view that you've done on your blog and social media of like bringing data, which I prefer as we've discussed. Like, you know, you're not necessarily this, putting yourself out as a guru of like all relationships, but this idea of like providing data so that men and women can kind of understand what it is really like and then show up the way they need to be based on actual real responses that are in private from women and men, and how to show up in these dating situations and these attractive situations, these relationship situations. So, you know, kudos to you for bringing that type of voice, which I think is super unique.
Thank you.
Probably the reason you've grown so much and your audience has grown so much. I guess if you have any last parting advice for guys or women when it comes to dating a relationship, love to hear that. And then after that, we'd love to hear, you know, how people can find about you and where they can find you.
Honestly, I think I'm all tapped out. But if anybody would like to ask me questions via Instagram DMs, they're open. I'd love to connect and answer them there.
Lovely. Can you tell us where
Stephanie
that is?
Daly, right?
Stephanie Daly, Daily.
And if anyone in our Discord wants to get their profile analyzed,
Drop
by
it
Stephanie,
in.
drop it in, because I think we would all like to see that.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, I can do that.
Amazing. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
on.
This was a lot of fun.
This was so good. This is our, by the way, new record, longest episode ever.
Really?
Yeah, sorry
by
about
far.
that. by
No,
the way.
all good. I
This-
was like,
This
damn.
went.
I know.
4
This
hours.
went
When they were
way
like, let's
longer.
not do a timer, I was like, yeah, maybe we should.
Thank you. We
Thank
love
you.
you.
Thanks for having me,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
All right, guys.
Bye.
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 Ciao.